Bards! This one is crazy. I'm just gonna start. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where I'm the Kobold superstar who plays the bagpipes. Bardic Inspiration. Last time they went wild with this one. Now it's closer to the 5e version, but with some changes. First, it can only be used on a failed test. This sadly means you can't use it for initiative. I find that quite disappointing. There's also some situations where a failure is not a clear state. This problem occurs in 5e a lot with some recent features, and I don't know why they haven't talked about this. I imagine this will go through unchanged. Anyways, someone gets to keep their Bardic Inspiration die for an hour instead of 10 minutes. 10 minutes is plenty of time. It's the length of my entire video, basically. That's a long time. Now, because of the way short rests work, you can basically rest cast them once you get them back on short rests. You give out so many Bardic as possible near the end of a rest, and then still get them all back. After that, people can use the ones they have for the next hour. In a dungeon, this is perfect. This lasts a long time. I'm not advocating for them to changing short rests or changing the way they regain the Bardic Inspiration uses. I'm just saying that the 1 hour duration is way too long. 10 minutes is fine. Now we get to the really fun part. Their biggest change is their spellcasting. First off, their preps are no longer based on spell slots, which is a buff. Additionally, they get to choose the spell list they want to use. One of Arcane, Divine, or Primal. Personally, I think this is awesome. It's such a good idea. I absolutely love this. The funnest part of Bard mechanically is magical secrets because of the massive options you have. I remember the first time I got magical secrets, I spent 4 hours on that level up, reading all the spells and deciding what to pick. I even remember what I picked. It was Counterspell and Spirit Guardians. That was many years ago. I even remember the session we had the next day. We were fighting an army of redcaps. It was so fun. And now spellcasting itself is like magical secret in a way, which is a brilliant idea. This is like picking a subclass, but even more important, with tons of options. They somehow made Bard more fun. I immediately have tons of cool character ideas, but let's dial it back a little. If this goes through, it's important for them to consider if classes are worth playing besides for their spell lists. Do you still play Druid if Bards get the same options? Do you still play Cleric? A lot of the power of spellcasting classes is based on their spells, and quite often the rest of their features are not really that amazing unless it's a subclass, you know? In the future, I'll be going through Cleric and Druid, and I'll tell you if I think they succeeded on making them worthwhile or not. Anyways, this is the best idea that's ever come out of 1D&D. I really want to play this, and I've only read the first... I've only read first level. I think that's incredible. Good job. Jack of all trades have been moved back from level 5 to 2 again. That's a good change. Level 5 seemed way too high. As with the other classes, the Bard is back with their 5e subclass progression. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. It was kind of the same. The difference is they don't get anything at 10th level, but the 10th level feature here is insane. So it's okay. I would actually rather have this. I'm also happy to say that Font of Inspiration was also moved back. This one from level 7 to 5. It also allows you to get Bardic Inspiration uses by spending spell slots. I don't think the boost is necessary, but I also think that Bardic Inspiration isn't worth the spell slot anyways. So I'm fine with this. The next feature makes you better at cooking. It's a Kobold Cookbook. It's by the same guy who made Kobold Quest, which is a fun adventure about kobolds. Yep. This is a supplement book that has 50 new magic items to collect. 50 new traps to use against your players, or maybe the players themselves can set them up. 50 new poisons to experiment with. Remember what I said about poisons. Poisons are good. And best of all, This is an actual cookbook. This has 50 new D&D themed food recipes for your table. Holy moly! That's right. You can't optimize with an empty belly. These rules are for a wide range of systems, not just 5e, but also the Pathfinder games. There's even rules for real life. Well, at least the cooking part is for real life. Anyways, this book is for everyone. Cooking is a fun adventure too and is incredibly rewarding. The Kobold Cookbook is now live on Kickstarter. I highly recommend you check it out. It's super fun, very creative, and you support the bolds. Yep. Back to the video. Speaking of back, Counter Charm is back. In 5e, this feature kinda sucks, and it was literally removed in the expert playtest. Now, bards get it at level 7 instead of 6, but it can be used as a reaction. That makes this pretty useful, and I do like it. Now we get to the fun stuff again. You thought it was over, huh? Magical Secrets got the biggest change. It makes it so Bard has access to all 3 spell lists. You now have access to Arcane, Primal, and the Divine spell lists. This is really strong. But I actually don't think it's too strong. So, hear me out. Right now, bards are heavily limited in the number of spells they can prepare, as they don't get any additional preps in return for losing their original Magical Secrets features. So while they have the most options in the entire game, they can only pick a few of them. We actually have something similar to this in 5e. Divine Soul Sorcerer has access to both the Cleric and the Sorcerer spell lists. They have the same problem, but worse. They get to pick less, and well, they get less options too. But still though, I do think this is a good comparison. One other thing to consider is that by removing Find Steed and spells that are similar to that from the normal spell lists, and making them class exclusive, bards can no longer get them then. This is quite a nerf, as for example, Find Greater Steed was one of the best choices for any bard. So overall, I think this feature is definitely super strong, but it's not as strong as people make it out to be. I still think the 1D&D wizard is stronger than this. I absolutely think this should exist in the game as is. It looks incredibly fun. This bard is on fire. It's amazing. Holy moly. Capstone time, it's super sad. Words of Creation makes them auto-prep Power Word Heal and Power Word Kill. In my previous video, I've talked about how they've changed, and it's not great. I also cover Vicious Mockery there too, by the way. It got a boost. Link in the description. Anyways, back to this. Bards get to target a second creature if they cast the power spells, but even with near double potency, these spells are likely worse than other alternatives. I might be wrong though, because we don't know what the 9th level spells actually are. While the class didn't end with a bang, I still really want to play this class. And that's a good sign. This is the first time I've ever had that experience with 1D&D. Now, there's been things I've really enjoyed about 1D&D, like I really enjoyed the glossary. But nothing like this. This is a new level. Whoever worked on this should work on the marshals. Let's see if the subclasses are as exciting. We're gonna start with Dancer, which is basically the real monk. I'm not joking, by the way. This is a monk. At level 3, they get 2 features. First is Dazzling Footwork. This feature is kind of messy. Unarmored defense is not going to be better than armor. Agile Strikes is not enough incentive to run into melee, but I guess it's fun to be able to use if you do end up there. I do think this is pretty weak. And finally, while not really a big deal, Bardic Damage makes bards deal more damage with their punches than monk. Obviously, monks get more attacks, so it doesn't actually matter, but it's still just really funny. The second feature is Inspiring Movement. This helps with kiting. First, I thought it was sad that it was after the enemy ends their turn. But honestly, it's probably good that it's not written that way as to not to lull on melee enemies too much. I really wish they could change the wording here a bit. Right now, this is kind of atrocious. Don't get me wrong, I get what it does, but for some reason there is an unnecessary order of operations. First you move, then your ally move. And then there's the unnecessary difference in mechanical benefits. Your ally uses the Bardic Inspiration roll. You move up to half your speed. Why isn't it something like this? You can use your reaction and expend one use of your Bardic Inspiration to roll your Bardic Inspiration die. You and the ally can move up to a number of feet equal to 5 times the number rolled. None of this feature's movement provokes opportunity attacks. Next, level 6. This is a real slap in the face for monks and rogues. At this level, they get leading evasion. This is just evasion plus, and a level earlier. Why is this here? It should be for monks and rogues, if anything. I think I know why, because there's a thing that helps your teammates, and they hate giving marshals things that help their teammates. Capstone, Irresistible Dance, which is basically just Otto's Irresistible Dance, the feature. The spell isn't fantastic, and the capstone is honestly really boring. I think they need to remake this subclass. I don't like them taking from monk and rogue. They also gotta change the capstone. Whoever made this did not talk to the guy who made monk or rogue. Next, College of Glamour. Mantle of Inspiration has a bigger variance now, but it's got around the same amount of temporary hit points on average. But I guess it makes sense to make the numbers related to Bardic Inspiration in some way. I'm neutral to this. This is okay. Another change is that Enthralling Performance is now gone. Now they get Beguiling Magic instead, which I prefer over Enthralling. Mirror Image is awful and not worth a spell slot. Charm Person isn't a whole lot better, but I think that pops up more often than the other one. That's at least from my experience. It's not a good spell, but I've surprisingly seen a lot of it. Anyways, the good part of this feature is the rest of it, which boosts all your enchantment and illusion spells, which is actually quite nice, especially combined with the next feature. At level 6, Mantle of Majesty has been changed in what I think is great. You now get Command prepared for free, and it combos well with Beguiling Magic. This is really fun. And finally, Capstone. Unbreakable Majesty has now changed a bit. It now negates the attack and works on the first hit instead of the first attack. This is nice, but they removed the part on a successful save. It used to say on a successful save it can attack on this turn, but it has disadvantage on any saving throw it makes against your spells on your next turn. I don't know if that's intentional or not. It doesn't say anything in the design notes. If it is intentional, then it's a bit of a loss. I think I like this more than the 5e version. They did a decent job here. Overall, I'm happy with Glamour. Comboing Command looks fun. Next, College of Lorebard returns back to its roots a bit. Cutting Words reduces damage again. Whoa! Additional Magical Secrets is back and under a different name. I really like this. You even get to swap them for other spells from the 3 lists when leveling up. This helps a bit with the prep issue I was talking about earlier. And finally, Peerless Skill received a bit of a buff since the last Bard playtest. But it also doesn't work on Initiative anymore, as it does in 5e. I still dislike this feature. Last one, College of Valor. It mostly just received quality of life changes. In 5e, it's not a fantastic subclass, but it's not bad either. I do like the cleanups they made here. That's very good. Normally with a subclass like this, I would ask for brand new features or just upgrades. But the base Bard is already super good, so I think this is alright. It's an okay subclass. Conclusion, the subclasses are good. The only thing they need to change is Dancer. Other than that, this Bard is a rock star. It's my favorite. A little bit more work and it's perfect. End the video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe and all that. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.